It's Real Live with DC Honey. Welcome to the show. We have another great show for you guys tonight. Come on in the room. And while you come, go ahead and press that share button and bring your friends and family into the room as well. Real Live with DC Honey is your social media show on the weeknights that brings you the best in social media news, the news you can use, as well as new releases as far as books, movies, music, all that kind of stuff that we may think that you might want to check out. We also have exciting interviews from community leaders, business owners, as well as celebrities. We have another great interview for you guys tonight, as well as some great stories that we're all going to discuss. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. It's Real Live with DC Honey. Time to start the show. Let's go.
Real live show. DC Honey. Come on and chill for a while, it's gonna be lovely. It's the Real Live Show with DC Honey. We push it forward, it's impossible to go back. And please know that the mentality is pro-black. Laughs and cheers in the atmosphere. Classic kiss, the music you be glad to hear. From the old to the new, yeah, this show was for you. And everybody striving to grow and improve. We glad to be alive, raise your glasses to the sky. If your energy is negative, you have to say goodbye. Nothing sad or basic, we past the hating. Great imaginations, collaborating. The vibes all positive, this is a must. Multi-million-dollar ideas we build and discuss. Take a listen, you ain't gotta be socially distant. Even though we different, we all are gifted. With blessings overflowing, it's all love we showing. The party here will not stop and keep going. The queen is controlling all records to spin. Bet your money on her, she expected to win. She blends soft with the rugged, I swear you gotta love it. Verse from Mark Math and B from Reggie Ruckus. Now that you tuning in, it's something you'll do again. Cause the music make you feel high. Now it's getting real live.
All right, family, and it is time to get real live. I'm your host, DC Honey, and I'm joined with my fabulous co-host, and I'm about to introduce in a second. But just want to let you know we got some great stuff for you tonight. We have some interesting stories. We're talking Jim Jones, and we're talking about the cussing pastor, Keion, and some other stuff. It's going to be a really fun show. Make sure that you like and follow us, as well as share the page. Share the love with your family, all right? I also want to share the stage with my wonderful co-hosts. Let's bring them on now. We got tonight Superman Sean, as well as Miss Nancy C. What's going on, family?
Not much. How you doing, DC Honey?
I'm
just talking.
How you doing?
It's good to see you back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. How you doing today?
Hot, but I'm good.
Now, if you meant hot and look, I'll give you that. Okay.
Oh.
Okay then.
Sean, I was watching Superman Sean. I was watching the intro. I was like, dang, Sean's not in it. So we got to do some kind of special thing for you as well.
Actually, if you could put me on, because I was looking at the dancing and I was about to have a flashback.
I know, right? Let me tell you about me and Superman Sean. So we grew up together. We were really good friends in high school, and we ran in the same circles. So when we went to the teen clubs and all the parties and things like that, we were dance buddies. So
good old days.
Yeah, good old days.
But could you really dance though? That's the thing. Some people go to these parties and can't really dance.
Keisha, speak. Bear witness, please.
You didn't want to mess with us. We were no joke.
No.
We were with all that.
Every once in a while, I'm prone to a flashback, but I need a little Ben Gay afterwards. But
So, you know what? Go ahead and order your Bengay on Amazon because our reunion is coming up at the end of July.
You already know it.
So I've been doing my planking and all that kind of stuff. I'm ready.
I'm
not ready yet. I'll be ready. Yeah. All right. Joining us. How you doing, Nick Fabulous? You okay? Oh.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I know you had a good weekend, right?
Yes, I did. Kentucky Derby weekend is the commemoration. If I'm stuttering.
Okay.
They celebrated their 150th anniversary to the Kentucky Derby. So, but one thing I want to share, um, the Kentucky Derby started since 1982, 18,
Yes.
1880,
Wow.
yeah, the 1800s. So the first, um, would you believe the first jockey was a black jockey
Oh
that won the
wow.
first that won the first Kentucky Derby race, and his name was Oliver Lewis. And
Mm.
even to know back then, so I guess back then we had a lot of them that were doing things because they had just come out of slavery, right? And coming out of slavery, they had to tend to a lot of things. So they had a lot of black jockeys back then. And they even wanted his horse to be known as a rabbit opposed to a horse. So that was crazy.
Wow.
But just to know that even back then that there were so many African American
Mm.
racers back then. And now when you look at the stats now, it is so
Mhm.
far-fetched. But anyway, it was a great weekend. It's
Wonderful.
parties all over.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing things. You don't have to be at Churchill Downs, but it's just a good time. And that's they go through various stages to get to that. So they still have two more races that they have to do, and then they get to the Triple Crown, which is the biggest one. But it was a great weekend. All this past weekend, just having fun and dressing up, little hats, and
That was
just
my
seeing
question.
people and
Right.
drinking and so
Question,
it
did
was
you wear
really
the hat?
good.
Was you out there like
Huh?
you had a hat on? Would you like
I
this
had
one?
my hat and my heels, but I had to take them heels off after a certain period of time. But, yeah, we tried to do a little something, something, but it was
Okay.
very. It's, I mean, it's when you sit and you listen and you hear certain things, but you meet people.
Yeah.
But it's just that's something that everyone should experience. Just to see how it was, but to know
Mhm.
from back then, from 1840s all the way up until now. And then now it's not that many, I guess they've moved into other eras, but it's not that many black
Wow.
jockeys anymore. But back then there was a
Mhm.
lot of them. I guess they were like, that was their freedom ride. you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was the only way they could release their freedom. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
so it was
Yeah.
really good. So that's something,
Uh-huh.
and just to see the races, but we had a good time. We did a few bets. I didn't win anything.
Well, Mick
It
Fabulous
was
is
the experience.
our reporter in the street. She's our roving reporter. She's somewhere every weekend. So we look forward to seeing where you're going to be next weekend.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into our interview. I'm really excited to bring this gentleman on. We're thrilled to have Parrish Smith. He's a true talent in the filmmaking world. He's not just your average cinematographer or director, he's an award winner who's honed his craft across genres from commercials and music videos to documentaries. And we're going to get into his latest one in a few minutes. But for over a decade, he's been the mastermind behind stunning visuals and captivating narratives. He's known for his crisp imagery and a way with lighting that elevates every story. His passion goes beyond aesthetics. He's a master storyteller, understanding the power of visuals to bring a film to life for his audience. So we're going to talk about his recent project, which is a documentary. It's airing on Tubi right now. It's called The Mecca of Comedy. And this showcases his ability to capture the essence of a subject, in this case, the legendary DC comedy scene. We're going to talk to him about that and more. And without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Parrish Smith. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
That was a wonderful intro.
Oh, thank you.
Was that me?
That's all you. You did that.
And the music intro for the show was just phenomenal. I was bopping my head the whole time when it was playing. Yeah. Whoever rapped that was a great job on that.
Let me shout them out real quick. That's Mark Math and Reggie Ruckus out of Baltimore. This is the second theme show that they've done for me. They did one for a radio show when I was on the radio in Boston, and then this one as well. They're very talented.
Yeah, very talented. That was a great intro.
Shout out to you, brothers. Yeah.
And one more thing before we get into it. You know, there's a book you were speaking about black jockeys.
Yes.
There's a book called The $40 Million Slave. I'm not sure if you guys know it, but it speaks about African-American athletes from the enslaved athlete to the present time. And it speaks about black jockeys, because black jockeys were prominent back then, coming from slavery, you know, and then after a while it stopped. But the enslaved athlete was something that was very popular. They would wrestle, they would race for the master. And then over time, it became more and more prevalent that they would have all these mega events with enslaved athletes competing while white folks watched and, you know, were putting on endeavors. So the black jockey was very, you know, I don't think people really know, but black jockeys were something back then. You know, nowadays you don't really see them, but it comes from. But the book is phenomenal. The $40 Million Slave. If you ever get a chance to read it, it just breaks down.
Wow. Yeah.
The African American athlete throughout the decades.
Amazing.
Wow. Okay.
Awesome.
Let's get into your current project, and I did see it. I'm really excited to talk about it. This was the Mecca of comedy, and it talks about the rich history of DC producing nationally acclaimed comedians. And I have to admit, I lived in DC for quite a number of years. I had no idea that a lot of the names in your documentary were from the DC area. So it was really eye-opening for me. But about this project, what initially drew you to give this subject matter attention, to talk about the great comedians that came out of the DC area?
You know, most people don't understand how many great and talented black comedians are from this area. Other ethnicities come from this, or comedians too, from DC. That's a whole nother topic. But black comedians, I was, so Chris Thomas, if you remember Chris Thomas, the mayor of Rap City.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine. I was just talking to him one day about comedians. I was like, well, yeah, it might be nice to do a documentary about comedians from the DMV area, because my wife and I had a prior conversation, and we knew about maybe 5 to 10 or 5 to 7 actually. And so I rapped to Chris Thomas. He gave me a whole nother, you know, list of names I had never heard of, but who were also very successful and famous in their own right. So we all know Dave Chappelle, we know Martin Lawrence, we know Wanda Sykes, we know Tommy Davidson, and they are, you know, they're megastars, but they're a way more successful comedians. And not always, when I say success, I don't always mean money, but they're working in clubs almost every night or every weekend. They're traveling still all around the country. People like Rick Grant and Joe Claire and Donnell Rawlings and Dominique.
Yeah.
Kevin Lee is another name. Tony Woods. And there's like, this is a whole lot of them. And that's just, these are the ones that kind of came through the Def Comedy Jam era in the 90s.
Yeah.
But before then, in the 80s, you had like Robert Montague, who was a writer for Chris Rock. You had Wanda Sykes. You had Andy Evans, who was the godfather of DC comedy.
Yes.
Andy Evans is like the Chuck Brown of DC comedy.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you are a DC comedian, you know who this guy is. And he mentored Martin Lawrence. He mentored Wanda Sykes. He mentored almost everyone who you see now. And so for him to even be on it, that was like a stamp of approval that he just, you know, supports this documentary. You have Greg Cooper, who was the first black comedian from DC to be on the Tonight Show. Yes. Which is big because, and he was performing at Howard University at Blackburn Center, and Bill Cosby was in the audience. And Bill Cosby just happened to, you know, was there and was like, "You're great." You know, he does impressions. He does James Brown. He does Ali, Joe Frazier. He does all these impressions. And Bill Cosby on the spot said, "Why don't you come on? Why don't you? I'm gonna bring you on the Tonight Show with me." And he did. So months later, I think in 1982, 83, Bill Cosby contacted him and said, "I'm hosting the Tonight Show." You know, Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson wasn't there that night, but Bill Cosby hosted it and invited Greg Cooper to come on the show. And so that was big because here he was. He went from, people say he went from Howard, or he went from it's a saying, he went from Howard to Hollywood or something like that. But it was just that's just major that, and here he was on primetime television, and that was his biggest show that he's ever done. I mean, ever since then he hasn't really quite matched that. But and to be from DC is phenomenal. Then you have P.D. Green. P.D. Green, like, I don't know if you saw the movie that Don Cheadle was in. He portrayed P.D. Green, but P.D. Green is also another DC comedian. Yeah. And DC loved P.D. Green. Not just, I mean, he was on the radio, but he spoke truth, and he spoke truth to power. And so when he passed away, I was told that it was the largest procession that DC ever had. Probably even bigger than Marion Barry. Yeah. So, people love P.D. Green. So the history, and I'm leaving people out, but the history is just there, when it comes to Washington, D.C. And so, there are people who I left out because I just couldn't fit everyone in the documentary. I'm not sure if you guys have watched the documentary yet.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? You saw it? Okay, great. But there are people who I left out who I couldn't get in for different reasons that we can get into if you wanted to. But, and so, Washington, D.C., it's been a hotbed for talent and entertainment. It always has been. Yeah. It's not a city known for politics, which people think, but it has always been a city of entertainment, even going back to Black Broadway, which was that whole U Street corridor. Right. It was, you have people like Ellis Fitzgerald come down, Duke Ellington, Mamas Mabley lived in DC. She played DC, the Howard Theater. Mamas Mabley performed at the White House 2 times. Marvin Gaye. Who's that? Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye also. Marvin Gaye is from DC as well, right? Yeah. I mean, Roberta Flack is from DC. I mean, there's a whole list of people that we can talk about, but but as it pertains to like Black Broadway, and it was like a Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was also known for Black-owned businesses as well, hotels, restaurants. Yeah. Florist shops. All that was on Black Broadway. So. DC has always been a hotbed for entertainment, and so it's only natural that comedy is a part of it. And thank you for allowing me to expand. I've been doing interviews. I was in New York yesterday doing interviews on. I was on Fox 5 in New York. I was in Baltimore on Sunday, and I have a whole slew coming up tomorrow. I'm back on Fox 5 DC and CBS, but they're only like 5-minute segments. So I have to speak real fast. I got you. Get everything in, but now I can actually elaborate a little bit because I have to get everything in. So I could breathe a little bit and kind of get it all in. So if you have questions, feel free.
So the participation on this documentary is what really stuck with me. All of the names and the people that agreed to do interviews to support this project. What tactic did you use to get that many people to be involved in the project?
It wasn't that difficult. I started small and got some of the talents who weren't as famous. I think the first person we shot was Chris Thomas, because I knew Chris Thomas. Yeah. And, I interviewed Chris Thomas, and afterwards, he called Tommy Davidson on the spot, put him on the phone, and put him on a speaker. And he said, I have a brother here who's doing a documentary on DC comedians. Can you be a part of it? And Tommy Davidson, he said yes. He said, you have a yes for me. I'll be in it. And that was great. Then the hard part was trying to nail down when he was going to be in town, how to get to him. Yeah. I couldn't call them, so I had to go through his wife. And then that was a whole nother, he gave me a verbal yes, but then I still had to lock him in. Eventually he did do it. He came to DC for a show. So that's really how it worked. A lot of them came into town for a show. And I was able to lock them down before the show or after the show. Yeah. I did some traveling to Philadelphia, Delaware, I think New York, and was able to get some of the comics there. But a lot of them, they didn't know me. So a lot of them say, well, I don't really quite, they were him and hawing. But when I got one and then another, and then this person called this person and say, hey, I vouched for this guy. Yeah. It made it easier. I did one guy named Mike Washington. He tours with Charlotte Underwood. And he called Donnell Rawlings on the spot and was like, can you do it? And Donnell said, yes. I did Red Grant. Red Grant also called Donnell too. So now it's like 2 comedians vouching for me. Yeah. And Donnell said, you know, you see how I'll do it. And so I still didn't get Donnell, actually, not from them. I did another guy, Greg, Judge Poole, who used to be on, Judge Poole used to be on, I think PGC for a while.
Okay.
And he called Donnell. And because Greg is an elder to Donnell, he's an older comedian, an elder, Donnell said yes. And that's when it stuck. When he got the phone call from one of his senior elder comedians, that's how it stuck. Teddy Carpenter, who was another DC comedian, he killed Def Jam 3 times. He got the phone call from Greg Cooper, Judge Cooper. Judge is his stage name. He said yes, because it came from someone higher up. Tony Woods, I don't know if you know who Tony Woods is, but he's like one of the—
I've met him.
He's like one of the masters when it comes to comedy.
He really is. Awesome.
You know, he's a mentor of, obviously, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
But he called Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes said yes. Here's what happened. I was on the couch and I was asleep. And my phone started to vibrate. And my wife was like, you know, your phone's ringing. I picked up the phone. And it was Wanda Sykes' manager saying, hey, can I speak to Parrish? I said, he said, yeah, this is Wanda Sykes' manager. And I was halfway asleep. I thought I was still sleeping because I couldn't believe we actually locked in Wanda, you know, know. And so we locked her in, and she agreed to do it. And we shot her in Philadelphia at a comedy club, and that was cool too because she just walked in off the street with no entourage, nobody was with her. She came in by herself. And she said, hi, I'm Wanda. Like, we didn't know who she was. We knew who she was.
Right.
And so, and she sat down for an hour and some change. And we had this was right before she hosted the Oscars.
Oh, wow.
Right at that time when she hosted the Oscars with the other two.
So how long did this process take, getting from, you know, the first interview to getting everybody in?
It took about 2 years because we first started on the tail end of COVID.
Okay.
And so some people were also hesitant to do it, you know, to come because of COVID. So it took about 2 years because of COVID. People were traveling, schedules, all that stuff, about 2 years or so. And yeah, so that's why it took a while to shoot everybody.
Well, I want to go back and talk about a little bit about how you got started. But before we veer off of the documentary, The Mecca of Comedy, I would like to go ahead and show the trailer, if that's okay with everyone.
Sure.
All right. Yep. Check this out, guys. It was really good. It's on Tubi right now.
So it's on Tubi, Amazon Prime, and also Apple TV. It's on all 3.
Okay. Sounds good. You know what? I hope I do have this trailer. Let's see if I stole it earlier. Okay, I guess we don't have the trailer. Oh, that's disappointing. I thought I did. I'm going to look for it. It's
on my website, themeccaofcomedy.com. You can probably share it from there.
Okay, I'm going to pull it, and then we're going to show it before while my co-hosts are asking some questions. I probably do have it on my desktop. I'll be stealing people's stuff. I'm waiting to get my clips. You all have never asked me how I get these clips, and I've never told. But
so I knew there was some thief in there somewhere. Thieving in there.
I was thieving. I was. But let's talk about your creative process a little bit while I look for that video. I know you've won numerous awards for cinematography and directing, but you also won an award while still in college. I'm not sure if it was at Howard, but you won the Paul Robeson Award for most progressive filmmaker. So which award gives you the greatest sense of achievement out of all of the ones that you collected over the years?
Probably the Paul Robeson Award at Howard, because it showed that I was one of the premier filmmakers within the film school at Howard. Film school was highly competitive. If you won that award, that means you were acknowledged by your peers and also by the professors who thought that you were going places and you had talent. So even though it's been about 30 years, I still hold that award in the highest regard because it meant a lot. The other awards are fine, they come. That probably meant the most. Film school, I enjoyed film school at Howard. And most people navigate it towards directing because it's probably the most, you know, glamorous position on a film set. It's like being a quarterback in a football team. Everyone, you know, likes a quarterback. But I chose more towards the camera, which was cinematography, and I loved everything about it, from the lighting to the camera to framing shots, compositions, you name it. I fell in love with it, and from there, I think I shot almost every one short film at Howard, and then after a while, people knew me in the DC area as a cinematographer, so I shot a lot of short films. I shot at least 50 short films.
Yes.
And then feature films as well, outside of Howard, and then from there it just started growing.
Yeah, you mentioned your lighting style. How does that tie into your storytelling? How do you use your style of lighting schemes and imagery to support your style of storytelling?
I could sit here for 50 hours and talk about lighting.
Oh,
just so you guys know, I'm a complete connoisseur about lighting, but I'll condense it. Lighting is obviously it's another character in the film. If you ever watch a horror film or you know a romantic film or a thriller, the lighting dictates what's going on.
That's correct.
So if the lighting is off, the film is off. However, the lighting can't get involved or can't overshadow or overshadow the film itself. It has to be very subtle. It has to mix in with the theme and the plot of the film, if you get what I'm saying.
yes.
So knowing how many lights to put up, where they should go, where the shadows should fall, is extremely important. Daylight, tungsten, all of this makes a difference. Tungsten is just lighting you use inside. You have to choose which lights you want, bigger lights, small lights. If you want natural light, that's also important as well. Natural light gives you more of an authentic look. So when you read a script, when you first read a script as a cinematographer, or some people call you a director of photography, it's both, it's the same thing. You have to decide with the director how you want that film to look. So if you think of like Spike Lee films, you know, going from Malcolm X to No Better Blues, which is a whole different lighting scheme, you know, it's extremely important, and it's a craft, and no one perfects. You know, people become a master of lighting, even though that's a term that people give you.
Yes.
You don't really. It's like saying, you know, can someone master playing basketball or playing football? You can always improve here, you know, little tidbits here and there, but you can become, you know, highly efficient in lighting. And so, you know, it's you know, and then there's contrast. Is lighting on, like right now, lighting is flat on my face, but should this be brighter or should this be darker? All that matters. And then you know, if it's a film, if it's a short film, it's a commercial, music video, a corporate video, a documentary, all that it varies. So lighting is very integral in every medium of filmmaking.
Interesting. I know Superman Sean is dying to get in here. He is actually a theater actor, a stage actor, and I know he has some questions just brimming, waiting to get out. So I'm gonna toss it to you, Superman Sean, while I look for this clip.
First of all, let me just commend you, brother, on the work that you're doing. Okay, it's an honor to meet someone, and I'm just listening to your knowledge of those things, because, you know, yes, I've done theater, but I've done some short films as well. You know what I mean? And I have to be brutally honest, you know, because as I'm listening to you speak, I can testify that, like, just hearing your knowledge about lighting and things like that, right? Because unfortunately, I've been a part of some productions where that very thing you talked about really just messed up the whole story in a way, you know. And I'm not trying to throw shade on nobody's project, but I can see where having the wisdom of those kind of things can actually pay off. So I just wanted to commend you on that first. And I'm just sitting back like I'm tickled pink as a kid listening to you speak on that, because I love to hear people that are adroit at what they do speak on it, and speak on it in the sense of knowing what they're talking about. I always marvel at that. So I want to commend you on that first. Then on top of that, just as a creative, if you don't mind me asking, and this is kind of maybe a generic question for someone of your caliber, but when you put all of this together, right? Because, you know, as quote unquote creatives, and I think all of us are creatives in our own right, you know what I mean? What is that joy like for you when that project, when you see it, because I know you giving it birth, you're giving it the lighting, you're doing everything else. But what is that joy like when you see that finished project? What is that like for you? If I can just ask that question to start off with.
It's everything. You live with a project from the first conception of the film, the first thought about making a project. Like the first, when the idea first pops into your mind, it sits there and then it kind of grows, and then it grows and it grows, and you kind of raise this child from age 0 to 18, and it's everything. And so I know you've heard people always make an analogy between kids and their art and all that stuff.
Yes.
But that's what it is, though, because and then there's ups and downs. There's these obstacles you have to kind of try to figure out. But it always works, though. Mm-hmm. And you always have to keep going, because every film that you will do, every project, not just project, just life is going to hit you, and it's going to stop you here and there if you allow it to stop you.
Exactly.
But you have to enjoy the process and the journey, not always the destination, but enjoy the journey. Take, breathe it in. Like, so if an obstacle happens, you relax, sit back, find a way through it, because you have to. If you ever want to complete anything or be a filmmaker or a visual storyteller, you have got to finish your project.
Amen.
And so when you finish it, it's almost like you've exhaled.
Right.
Now you can just kind of and then you think back of what happened all throughout, like when this person said no, this person wanted money, this person said, well, I don't know if I can be a part of it. And you're like, well, all that happens on a film project, whether you're doing a documentary, a narrative, feature film, or what have you. And it just, and it can stunt your, I can't stress enough, man, what can happen will happen when you're making a film. Right? It's like Murphy's Law. Mm-hmm. And so you always have to find a way through it, and you never give up. I don't care what you do. I know people who start projects, halfway through they stop because this happened and this happened. And they have like 5 unfinished projects. Mm-hmm. I know people who have 10 scripts, 20 scripts, never do anything with them.
Yeah.
I see you laughing, Ms. Nancy. Never do anything with them. I knew someone had like 50 scripts, and he was saying like he was proud. I got 50 scripts. That's fine, but have you done one? Have you shot one? Have you completed one?
Right.
That's you can't just have it sit on your desk. You have got to make it happen by any means necessary.
Come on, say it again.
Any means necessary. You have to make it happen. And then when you complete it, you've done it.
Yeah.
No one cares about what you went through. They don't care about.
This is true.
You care about is what is on that screen or what you watch on TV, on Amazon TV, whatever. That's all they care about. They don't care about, well, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. It's irrelevant. So having your film, come to fruition and getting it picked up and distributed, that's the ultimate goal. And then from there, here comes the criticism. What people are going to say about your film. They may like it, not like it. They have this and that. Someone hit me online and was like, well, DC isn't the Mecca of comedy. Chicago is. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. It's subjective, right? Comedy is subjective. You're from Chicago, so you may think that. I'm from New Jersey, and so a lot of the time I spent in New York, and I know New York comedians. A lot of them are friends, and so I'm not saying they're not talented, because they are. This is not a comparison between DC comedy, New York, Chicago, LA. I'm just saying I find DC to be some of the most highly talented comedians, and for it to be such a small space compared to New York City, Chicago, or Los Angeles, that says a lot. That so much talent comes out of this one area, and the common thread is Washington, D.C. So, Superman showing, it means everything to complete a project and bring it all the way to the end.
I appreciate you sharing that, because there's so much meat on that bone. It's not even funny, because I have if I can say this real quick, I have a nephew who just graduated from Columbia, and he does music scores. He just was that about a year and a half ago. He did a movie with Sandy Newton. I think it was called God's Country, and he scored that particular movie. And so to watch him, because one of the things we were having a conversation, and it was along the lines of everything that you were saying. And I just said, hey, look, I said, just keep pushing through. Okay, because like I made a joke last week when I was with these ladies. I consider myself a Q list celebrity. Okay, I'm not on the A list yet. Okay, there's a lot of alphabet I'm trying to strive towards. Okay, so maybe after this project that I'm doing, maybe I'll move up one consonant.
Yeah,
all right?
yeah,
exactly. So you know what I'm saying. So hopefully I can be an elemental P kind of celebrity. I got a bunch of letters in my name, but that's another story. But the idea is the fun and the perseverance and the watching what you do. Giving that birth to it. And so again, just thank you for sharing that, because that was just very powerful. Really, no real questions, but just commending you for just the work that you're doing, and it's amazing to me. I don't know you, but I wish you the best in all your endeavors that you do, because I can just hear the wisdom, and that alone is just beautiful to me.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I want to take a peek at this work. I have sticky fingered the trailer, so I'm going to play it for you guys right now. Should it be about a minute long? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think it's or 2 minutes. I have different cuts, so whatever you play is fine.
Okay, all right, let's check it out. The Mecca of comedy.
All right.
And that is it.
Now, that's something else.
Lord.
That's something
What in the world?
All right, Miss Nancy C, go ahead and ask a question. I'm about to go back into my little.
You're gonna have to work on your thieving activities. You got
someone's
stealing the wrong thing.
I gotta sneak and return it back to the store and steal something else. All right, I'll be right back.
Now you was talking about lighting. So while you was doing all that talking about lighting, I know you were probably saying her lighting is trashy, but it is what it is. Is there a
contrasty? It's very contrasty. That's all.
Oh yeah, so it's jumping all over my glasses and everything. Yeah, I gotta work on that. But I was laughing when you talked about Tommy Davidson and how it took you a while to get the interview with him, because actually it put me in that mindset. Remember when he was on Martin and he was the Varnell Hill show and he told Martin. So that's why I was laughing. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to cut you off, but I was like, oh, he did him. He really is Varnell Hill. Okay. But outside of that, do you think outside of Washington, somebody already told you, Chicago, do you think you're going to take your documentary to other cities? Is there anywhere else you want to go?
Someone just texted me that today. Bob Sumner. Bob Sumner was is the talent coordinator for Def Comedy Jam. And he texted me about that, saying that, maybe different themes or different cities. There's something there, but I have to be very careful. Okay. I don't want to be hypocritical, because I'm supporting DC comedians, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to go to New York and say, well, DC is a Mecca of comedy, or Chicago, because I'm doing. Then it seems I'm just kind of jumping around, with, mm-hmm. Loyal to what I made. Of course, New York City. We all know comedians from New York City, from Eddie Murphy to Chris Rock. Mm-hmm. There's a whole list of New York City comedians, and then there, and that could be excellent. To whoever does that can be phenomenal. Chicago with Bernie Mac and all those guys. That's Marsha. What was it from?
Yeah.
Marsha. Who'd you say?
Warfield.
But exactly right, from Chicago, right? A veteran comedian. In Los Angeles too, but although a lot of people are transplants into Los Angeles, a lot of them aren't originally from Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Now you got Atlanta, all these other comedians from Atlanta that popped up, with Country Wayne and and DC Young Fly, all these guys. Mm-hmm. And then so there's an argument to be made that every city really has their own. But here's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that Washington DC produces great comedians for several reasons. One, Washington, D.C. is a very smart town. It's a smart city. It's highly intellectual and very sophisticated. They have some of the most sophisticated audiences in the country. When Barry Gordy was with Motown, he would often send his groups first to D.C. Because he figured if they could perform in D.C. and do well, then that act was ready for primetime television. Washington, D.C., it's politics. You have universities and colleges here too. So you have a very mixture of, of just smart people who you can't really fool and bluff your way around. But as it pertains to Black comedians, now let's just go back for a second. Washington, D.C. was the first chocolate city. At one point, it was the capital of Black America. In 1970, it had 71% majority Black in 1970. 1957, it first became the first city, majority Black city. So if Black folks were just migrated to Washington, D.C., it had a robust middle class, a robust public school system. M Street School, which was Dunbar High School, is the first Black public high school in the country. It was a hotbed for Black activism. Stokely Carmichael lived in D.C. Black culture, from go-go music, I mentioned Black Broadway. Black academia, Howard University, the Mecca of Black academia. You have Duke Ellington, which is also known for, not just for education, but also for entertainment. And then, of course, arts and entertainment. So you have a lot in there, which is why, Black comedians just prosper from this area, because you can't come out of this area and just be, telling, they call them P&A jokes, or it's vulgar, P&A is
Gotcha.
This and that.
Yeah.
And so, you have to have some substance. So if you hear Dave Chappelle and his comedy, it's kind of smart. It's conscious comedy. Tony Woods is the same way. You hear Wanda Sykes, it's the same way. And so, but they're all from DC. I'm not saying all DC comedians are this way. But Washington, D.C. really is the common link as to why comedians, and all of them were raised pretty much in the 80s and some in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, Joe Claire is another one. If you listen to Joe Claire, he's a highly intellectual comedian, and we hear him speak and talk. So it's, it's there. And so that's the difference between New York City and Chicago and Los Angeles, is that you have all this here. Yeah. And so, that's it.
So we have something special for you guys tonight. I have a trailer. I actually have a trailer tonight I would like to play for you guys. This is the trailer, hopefully, allegedly, for the Mecca.
All right, here we go.
Check it out. Roll the tape.
Yes.
When I was a comedian starting out in Washington, D.C.
This brother, started out in the D.C. area.
Coming to the stage from my hometown, the nation's capital.
D.C. is the Mecca for stand-up comedy, because if you're good in this town.
Oprah Winfrey started that weight loss mess. Huh? Remember she kept on saying if she didn't lose weight, the old man was going to leave her? Oh, yes. $80 million, he ain't going no damn way.
If DC being the Mecca of comedy is a phrase coined by the great Andy Evans, then it must be so.
Volumes of solid acts that we've turned out over the years.
Black women won't get mad at you for 3 months because she'll store.
There's just a central information stream here in D.C. that's not like other cities. Black folks in D.C. is just straight up funny.
Oh my God, look. How you doing?
So many people who are big names now are from out of this area.
We had to have that inner humor, man, for the doldrums of other things that were being shot at us, because that helped you with girls too,
Caucasians ran comedy. You had to be better to excel.
I said a brother with 400 million can't keep a bitch. A brother with $100 ain't got a shot.
Dave Chappelle, Martin, Wanda Sykes, we were all really young. We got in Garvin's, we got in the Comedy Cafe, and we performed.
DC being the Mecca of comedy is self-explanatory.
I was just in the men's bathroom. I don't know which one of you gentlemen used it. I'm no doctor, but you got around 3 months left.
All the biggest stars.
I'm married to a white French woman, and I have 2 white kids. Fucked up my legacy.
Raw.
What's the deal, Pickles? Is everything kosher?
All around funny cats, man.
Right, and like you always know who gonna die first.
the Virgo.
That's the good thing about us, maybe, because we live a white collar, blue collar life simultaneously.
We come up knowing the principles of comedy, like what really makes you funny, not just one joke.
And you're here for a comedy show. You could walk up on a show that might have a couple of people you heard of.
If you took all the comedians out of DC, it'd be a dent in the industry.
All these great talents in DC, you know, what's in the water here? What happens that you can create a Tommy Davidson, Dave Chappelle, Chris Paul, Huggy Lowdown?
You fuck around, don't have fun today, be in the morning, wake up in front of God, they be like, should have had fun last night, nigga.
How New York is the Mecca of basketball. You know, we feel like we're the Mecca of comedy.
A ton of like live albums will be recorded here.
If you were dark-skinned, people just start joning on you. And I use my wit as a defense mechanism to push them back.
DC comedy is amazing because it comes on so many different levels.
We just breed funny people, and I don't know if it's that it's so many of us there.
DC always had, to me, the roughest crowds. Either they gonna love you or you gotta go.
DC area has the most educated concentration of African Americans in the country.
The DC comics tend to be smart comedians. That was one of the things I always aspired to be.
I can name 10 famous comedians, legendary comedians from this area, but they all got different styles.
We have a great city in Washington. We never get credit. We get blamed for all the politicians, but we never get credit for the great talent that comes out of here.
If there's a battle, we're in the finals.
The same way people say New Orleans is the home of jazz, I say DC is the home for stand-up comics.
That's dope. Yeah, that's nice.
That's nice.
Where'd you find out? That's one of the first edits of the tease.
I can't reveal my sources.
I didn't think that was online anymore. But nice job.
That's dope. That's dope. That is.
And I just want to tell you guys, I watched it, I believe, yesterday or the day before. Excellent, excellent documentary. You guys really enjoy it. Let the people know where they can check it out and as well where they can connect with you and follow you.
It's currently playing on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Tubi. It's also on the Roku channel, YouTube as well. But you know, the main three: Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Tubi. The Mecca of Comedy.com is the website. You can follow me at I am Parrish Smith on IG, and then Parrish Smith on Facebook. Not to be confused with the rapper from EPMD, Parrish Smith.
Because I sure thought about that.
A lot of people do, and I get a lot of his email. Funny thing is, I was born in Long Island. You know, he's from Long Island.
Oh,
yeah.
They have two Parrish Smiths from Long Island. Is like really crazy. But I'm not a rapper. People always say, you PMD from? No, I don't know. In high school, people always ask me, you know, are y'all back in business? Are you out of business? In business? You know, that was the album cover was always business. It was always business. Strictly business, all that stuff. So
now tell the truth. Have you answered any of those emails?
I answered some of them. You know, sometimes I get emails and it's like a contract to perform at a show. Like I'm not kidding, with the honorarium in the contract.
Whoa!
Listen, if I could rap a little bit, I might just show up. But yeah, so that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, and you did us a huge favor. Really was last minute, and we got so much value from this conversation. Yeah. So I really appreciate you. You do fantastic work, top quality work. Yeah. You are Howard Bison, so there's that.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I had a great time, and thank you for allowing me just to speak a little bit.
Absolutely.
And not like in quick 15 seconds, 15 seconds here and there. So,
and I'm gonna definitely watch it. I am. I got Amazon. So.
Please do. And once you do, just hit me on like IG or Facebook or email me and give me your thoughts. You know about it.
Okay.
All right.
I would love to hear it.
All right. Parrish Smith, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah. Oh,
that's dope.
Dope.
Great information. We're going to take a quick break, you guys, and we're going to come right back with more of Real Live.
All right.
All right. So we have a couple more minutes. Should we do some rapid fire social media news? What do you guys think?
I'm here for it.
Yeah, we can go for it.
All right. First up is Fat Joe. What's going on with Fat Joe right now?
All right, Fat Joe, the rapper, everybody knows him. It's a 53-year-old rapper. He's a humanitarian. He has linked up with some of his friends, and he has started basically a drive for Haiti. It's called Fat Joe and Friends. And what he's doing is he's having supplies shipped to Haiti during their crisis. I don't know what's actually going on, but he says the country is dealing with a crisis. So the gang members, the gang members are armed, and they have burned down police stations. They have freed over 4,000 inmates. Violence has gone up tremendously, and it has displaced thousands of Haitians that people are without food, water, and other essentials. So Joe is hoping to supply mattresses and food and diapers, mosquito nets, and everything else that they need. So if you want to, you can go to Amazon wish list and just look for Fat Joe and Friends Relief for Haiti to give towards the drive.
And
yeah, so
that's
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is this also what Wycliffe be doing too? Is that
he didn't mention Wycliffe? Yeah, I know Wycliffe does the thing, but he didn't mention Wycliffe. He just said he just calls it.
No, I was saying, but this is the same thing that Wycliffe be doing for Haiti too, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're collaborating, but is that the same thing? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that Fat Joe is partnering with another rapper. Do you remember his name? This rapper is from Haiti.
Okay.
Partner with him, I guess, so that they can get the supplies to the correct place, so that it is people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fat Joe, good on him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay then, Fat Joe.
What's up?
All right. Well, we got Cousin Keion making the news.
You messing up his title. You got the Cousin Preacher that's in Tennessee. That's a whole nother story with him. But Pastor Keion, he's the guy or the pastor that's married to Shaq's ex-wife, Shawnee. He's out of Houston, Texas, and he pastors the Lighthouse Church. So the video has gone viral. He's gone on to, Tamron Hall show to explain his situation. He's seen in the video, it's during a worship moment, and there's a lady in the choir stand, and she's hollering out and making noise. So he, after so long, he can't take it no more. So he snaps his finger at her and he tells her, shh. And he said, the only voice I want to hear is him talking about God. So people are upset and they are saying he shouldn't have handled it in that manner. He could have hurt his feelings. That's why there's church hurt. That's why people are leaving. But the backstory is, he has confronted her on 4 different occasions about just bursting out hollering at different times during the service. It's not when everybody else is shouting. It's not when everybody else is singing. It's, kind of like a quiet moment, and she just want to holler.
Like she got
to. You ever been in church? That can be aggravating. The announcement's going on, and somebody in the back hollering. Why are you hollering? So he said, he's had his team to say something to her. He's had the ushers to say something to her. He's had some mothers to say something to her. She ignores everybody because her mindset is, I'm still gonna holler. So will she continue to holler after this video has gone viral? Nobody knows. So that's
She'll be
the
hollering
situation
from
with
another
that.
angle. She'll be hollering from another angle because they're gonna lock the doors and won't let her in.
Oh man, I can't wait to toss this to Elder Sean up there.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Let me just give a disclaimer. I've been talking about this all day. Okay. So I'm gonna give a quick answer on two fronts, and I'm gonna get out y'all hair. All right. Now I'm gonna give a theological perspective, and then I'm gonna give you the Elder Sean perspective. Okay. Now, on one hand, right, because, especially when you talk about the experience of the Black church, right, I can't say what was going on with this lady because sometimes in praise, okay, there is the euphoria, and things of that nature, especially if you're somebody that if you know where the Lord has brought you from, okay, things of that nature, or if you like me, because look, I know I'm a heathen, okay, and so at the end of the day, I know what the Lord has delivered me from, okay. If I was left unchecked, trust me, I know the mayhem I could cause, okay. So I am always in a state of euphoria. The Lord saved me, okay. So at the end of the day, so there will be days where you might see me, teared up and everything else. Now, on the other hand, okay, because growing up, I grew up Pentecostal apostolic, okay, and I'm used to that in some regards, because like I was telling somebody I was having this conversation with, there was one particular popular apostolic church in Detroit that I was a member of for a short while. And like you said, my sister, this is somebody that even when the announcements, somebody be like, hey, let's remember to pray for the sick and shut in. Oh, thank you, Jesus. It's like, okay, I get it. You're excited about the announcements, but come on, And then, even when the coin hit the pan, cling, oh, thank you, Jesus. Okay, I get it. All right, but kind of ratchet it down a little bit, right? So in one hand, there's that. But on the other hand, because again, we really don't know where this lady was at. Okay, now I do understand that they've had something about her for 4 years and things like that. And this is where I would have to bring, call the I don't know. I really don't know anything about Keion. I really don't. Okay. I don't know anything about his theology or where he comes from, what his denominational background is. I really don't know. So I can't speak to that. But I would have an issue is because, see, one of the things that, and you mentioned a good term there, my sister, about church hurt. Okay. Now, church hurt is kind of a slippery slope. I got to be honest about it, speaking from a biblical perspective, because there are sometimes tacky methodologies that churches use that can hurt people. But the flip side of that is that the church is an institution that has to have discipline. Okay. If you would study the book of 1 Corinthians, right? And whenever I preach, I tell people you got to know the who, what, when, where, why, and how, why a book and a passage was written, because it'll give you insight into why, the writer of that scripture was saying some of the things that they were saying. So if you look at the book of 1 Corinthians, let me say this real quick. It's a book of rebuke, okay, because there was so much chaos going on in the church. You even had a man sleeping with his own stepmother at this church. Yeah. Okay. So the language, had to be one where there had to be a lot of discipline, correction, and to the point where Paul even had a strong statement for that brother. He said, deliver that man unto Satan. Okay. And so for the sake of discipline, because according to Christian theology, Satan can be God's whipping tool to whip us back into shape. Okay. And to bring us back. So when we get to the 2 Corinthians, we see this brother exhibited sorrow for what he did, and he was restored back to the fold. Okay. So I will commend him on for the sake of trying to keep order. Okay. If this was a situation that required order. But at the same time, because we don't really know where the lady was at, was she dealing with a demon? Was she being grateful? We really don't know. But the fact that it took 4 years, okay,
I don't have the patience
deal with this. I mean, look, patience is one of the fruit of the spirit, okay? But even with patience, there's got to be a cutoff somewhere. You know what I'm saying? If I'm still saying the same thing to you after 4 years, we got to make some decisions within the church government. I'll say it like that.
We got to position you in the sanctuary. You can no longer be up in the choir stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Someone else who's been causing mayhem. Let's talk about Jim Jones and his middle-age altercation.
The middle age.
So
I don't think altercations have an age on it, but just because of who he is, I mean, if somebody hit you or if they attacked you, I don't know. I've seen it, so
yeah.
Well, let's catch everybody up that hasn't heard the story.
Yeah.
So chaos erupted on an escalator in the Fort Lauderdale airport last weekend, and rapper Jim Jones found himself in a brawl with two unidentified men. The footage shows Jones facing off against two men on a moving escalator. You guys know I was looking for the clip. I couldn't get the clip.
What? I could have sent it to you.
It's because let me finish this. But it's because the clips that I saw belong to other platforms, and
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the video, Jim Jones appears to be defending himself against the two attackers. The video also shows him throwing one man down the escalator steps, and I saw that part. I
love it.
Hurting after that. I felt them knees the next morning. All right. But unfortunately, there was another elderly bystander who caught a stray, right? He got caught in the crossfire as well. But thankfully, that's when the airport security intervened and shut everything down. So Jones later took to social media the same day, assuring fans he was okay and saying it was all in self-defense. Don't worry, I got to get ready for a party, but I'm gonna let you guys, know about it later. The Broward County Sheriff's Office is investigating, but one thing is clear: his weekend took a very unexpected turn down the escalator. So the internet, of course, is having a field day with memes and things. You know how we do about what. Of course. But we're still waiting for all those details to come out. So
I just love the way he body slammed him. I'm like, oh, that's a turn on. I like it. I mean, because he ain't take no joy. You gonna come at him. He picked him up, threw him down the stairs. Okay, yeah, it's like WrestleMania. Yeah, okay. He handled himself well. He did.
This is why I call it the.
You take on two cats. They do the same a lot.
Say it again. Yeah.
Well, if you look at that picture, this is why I called it the middle-age altercation.
Yeah.
Because they all of a certain age. But yeah.
I want to know what started it, though. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
All reports said that he was defending himself. So
yeah,
just tried him. Somebody had to have tried him.
Yeah.
See, what I've learned in recent years is like the older generation of hip hop, right? Leave the cats alone, because watch this. How many of y'all knew that like the most notorious like real hardcore gangster dude that you wouldn't want to mess with? Now I know some of y'all were probably thinking like Ice Cube or somebody like that, but man, I've been doing some research and I found out that MC Hammer was not the cat to play with.
Yeah.
I've heard. I'm like, I don't even want to say his name. I'm scared he's gonna kick down my door. No,
I've heard it.
Don't do it.
I heard that back in the day in Oakland, he was no joke.
Yeah, I heard it. I even heard Outkast say like, "Yeah, run up on Hammer, I'll beat your tail." And so I started digging into this, and even Redman authenticated it. Outkast and some, even Fat Joe talked about that. And so all I'm saying is, I don't know what these dudes was thinking, messing with that older generation of hip hop, man. But they don't play.
Yeah. Leave them alone.
Leave them alone, man.
Leave them alone. That old man energy, don't do it.
Oh,
yeah, they done been through a whole lot, done seen a whole lot. Don't try it. Leave them alone.
It's just like, now that we kind of moved up in age ourselves, because remember, I don't know about y'all, but I always thought like people, before us was old, and I thought that was that ancient civil rights strength. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
We got that been through strength. Don't try it.
Been through stuff. You know what I'm saying? Telephone disconnect, waiting for the next page. So,
Don't try it.
Well, and then with our generation, we outside kids. We not
right.
kids. So
yeah.
we went outside to play the video games. We went to the mall and went to the arcade.
There it is. There it is. Talk about it.
So we automatically know how to fight because that's what we did when we was outside too. Fight. So, we know how to fight.
To this day, I say, yeah, I got a little martial art training, but boy, I still be like, better back up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on this story. As details develop, we'll make sure that we come back and let you guys know what is going on. Yeah. We did have some new releases, but we're going to table that till Thursday, if that's okay.
Okay.
A little long with the interview, but we have some great people coming up. I wanted to let you guys know about it. Real Life is really growing. This Thursday, we actually have a multi-Grammy winner coming on the show. I'm talking about Malik Yusuf. He will be joining us on Thursday. And then the following Tuesday, we have the LAW, who is a multiple Grammy nominee. He also played with Amy Winehouse of Parliament Funkadelic. Not that group, but a spinoff group that George Clinton started. So very accomplished men coming on. Going to be some great interviews. So make sure you are following our page so that you know when those interviews are coming up. So good stuff coming up.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for joining. We had a fun evening. I think McFabulous had to run. She probably had to run to work. So we're sorry that we lost her early.
Yes, definitely.
And make sure that you join our page. We are the Onyx Network on Facebook as well as our YouTube page. It is growing, but we need your help for it to grow a little more. We're at youtube.com/@tonbroadcasting and the Onyx Network on Facebook. Make sure you share the love, share this video, as well as invite some folks to join our page. All right. Thank you to all that have tuned in. I don't know if you guys can see the names on your side, but I shout out Lee tapped in, as well as George Wilkins, my son.
Yep, I saw him there.
Who is in active duty. I want to shout him out down in Texas.
Yes.
Down in Texas, yeah. Thank you for your service. And
yeah.
I think
Sean says thank you.
I think next year he goes over to Europe. So I'm
wow. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you, George, for tuning in. Yeah. All right. Did you guys want to shout anybody out before we go?
Just thank everybody for watching.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me back on. I always have fun in this little segment. So thanks for having me back on again. I appreciate it.
You always have an ulterior motive. So I'm working on something in my head. I'm up to something.
Keep me spinning.
I'm up to something. So thank you so much for joining. Again, at the last minute, we appreciate you joining us. Always
fun thing to do. You know, I'm always a phone call away, sister in love.
All right, I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining us again, and we will see you this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another Real Live. See you guys later. Have a good night.
Love, peace, and hair grease. See y'all later.